to 34. And that, whispered the elf, is how I became Father Christmas. Doubly so, because shortly afterwards I married Gerda, and she gave birth to 9 sons. We were on top of the top floor of a brownstone in Brooklyn, in New York City, getting ready to deliver presents for 3 children called Ethan, Caleb and Madison. Over the past few minutes, we had visited 37 states and delivered 47.2 million presents. You married Gerda, I said. I'm so glad. So she's Mrs. Christmas. One and the same, said the elf. Maybe you've heard of the magic key. Until that night, I hadn't, and I'd always wondered how Father Christmas manages to get into houses where they don't have chimneys. Well, it turns out that there's a special key made by the elves which fits any lock. I did ask him why he still bothered climbing down chimneys if he could just come straight through the door, and I have to say, I thought his answer was very interesting indeed. I like chimneys, he said simply. They're fast and they get you right where you need to be, like a fireman's pole. Yes, a fireman could walk down the stairs to get to the fire engine, but it's the pole that will get him there the quickest. Plus, he paused and he turned to look back at me. Chimneys keep it real. Remind me of where I started. The magic key, which had been feeling its way around the inside of the lock, suddenly took a grip of the mechanism and pulled back the bolt on the door. Father Christmas looked at me, triumphant. Then carefully pushed back the door so he could see inside. Clear, he said. Let's go. We crept down the hallway, searching each room for the Christmas tree. Eventually I spotted it in the kitchen. I set Father Christmas down and we began checking the labels at the top of the sack. After a night of rummaging for presents, I'd realised that the sack wasn't just magic because it could hold so many toys, but because the presents you were looking for would somehow always rise to the top. But wait, I whispered. I know you started with elves, but why did you start giving presents to humans? Ah, said Father Christmas. That came with the factory. Factory? I asked, placing what could only be a football under a tree. I couldn't go on charging top whack, so I decided to drop my prices. Amazingly, I started to sell more toys than ever. Soon, Steiner couldn't keep up with demand, so we took over the old shoe factory and employed all the out-of-work elves as toy makers, said Father Christmas. In the time it had taken me to lay one present, he set out all the rest. They were in 3 neat piles, one for each child. Luckily, all the skills involved with shoemaking, leatherwork, stitching, hammering, they're all very useful in toy making, he continued. So if an elf can make a great pair of shoes, he or she can also make a great My Little Pony or a Gravity Maze. So all the elves had jobs again. Exactly, said Father Christmas. We were now in the hallway, where he closed the door and tested the handle just to make sure we hadn't left it unlocked. And just as they had once bought elfin shoes, humans started to buy elfin toys. You must have noticed that feeling of magic when you enter a human toy shop. He peered at me over his little round glasses. It's because all the toys are made by elves. I know that, I said. I carried him back into the street. All the good ones anyway. If humans buy our toys throughout the year, for birthdays and so on, then it's only fair that we give them free toys at Christmas. How's your ankle? I asked. The swelling's gone down, said Father Christmas. Thanks to you. I reckon I'll be able to put weight on it soon. We're now back at the sleigh, and I lifted him up to the driver's seat. Do you want to know the real secret? He asked. The thing I discovered that very first Christmas. Yes, please, I said, and I climbed up beside him. It's lovely to receive a present. Good feelings fade after a while, and you just find you want something else. But when you give something, well, you don't tell anyone. That good feeling stays with you forever. And that, he shook the reins of the reindeer and began to gather pace. The snow was patchy on the ground, and the sleigh's rail sparked every time they met the tarmac. We turned a corner, and suddenly, right in front of us was the Manhattan Bridge. I was just beginning to wonder how we were ever going to clear it, when Rudolph made a glorious leap into the moonlight, and we went rushing towards the stars.